Do you know what they used to call me back in the day? The modern audience.
There's a lot of focus on graphics.
Oh, look at these graphics. Oh my God.
This game's graphics. What's the resolution on this game?
You understand the titty men, ass men dichotomy?
There's like titty men and then there's ass men. Graphics are like boobies. Graphics are how they attract you.
Somewhere in us, some old, obsolete titty men software is still running in our heads. And then we have these fantasies about these bigger
boobies. End of the day, breasts are for children. Graphics become information.
We know that we want something that's good to us and good for us, and we know where to find it.
All over the world, middle-aged men having fun playing spaceship shooting games.
I am absolutely terrible at shmups. It's not that I don't enjoy them, it's just that my progress through them is so slow.
I just want to have a good time. I just want to have an easy time. I just want to break from everything else in my life that's difficult enough. I think this is all titty men thinking.
Soon you may be seeing heaven. Choose the sword, and you will join me. Choose the ball, and you join your mother, Death. You don't understand my words, but you must choose.
I used to come here when I was a little kid to this bar restaurant. And I grew up in a small town, so this was like this is before the time of Starbucks and Applebee's. This place was the spot. Place was packed every weekend. And the longer the wait, the better it was. I would get a handful of quarters and play Operation Wolf, Rolling Thunder, an Outrun setup, Mr. Dew's Castle. Then it burnt down. There was a fire and burnt the whole thing out. And that was it. Until many years later, they decided to rebuild it. What the fuck is Aioli? Pole position, Arkanoid, Afterburner, NFL Blitz, Mario Brothers, Miss Pac-Man. And now, it's a dentist's office. Good job, guy. There's always a dentist's office. Street Fighter 1, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, Street Fighter 2 Super, all the Street Fighter 2s. What the fuck is a grilled nugget? Hikari Warriors. These used to be a pizza place. I think this used to be a pizza place. Street Fighter Alpha 3, Hikari Warriors 3, X-Men, Children of the Atom. This used to be a pharmacy that had an Indiana Jones cabinet that never fucking worked. Now it's the Balloon Center. Marvel superheroes, Magic Sword, World Heroes, and a cigarette vending machine with Benson & Hedges 100s Virtua Fighter. Iron Man, Ivan Stewart's Super Off-Road.
Can I get the limited time Dubai chocolate pistachio shake, please?
Can I please have your name?
Spiders?
Sorry?
Brioche. This used to be billiards. Arcade cabinets used to have ashtrays.
They say you can never go home again.
It's like, I always loved that game. Barely played it.
Yeah.
I never got past, like, I'm never getting past the first couple of screens, let alone, I don't think I ever saw, like, a second stage.
So, because of the four-way control, you can't turn. You can't turn when you duck.
So it's like, I didn't, it's not like I'm not
like engaging with the game mechanics. I'm not like thinking about it in any kind of like deeper terms.
You run out of your main ammunition, you get a magic bullet.
It was just cool.
What's cool about the magic bullet is that it's very slow projectile.
It was just cool to be like a spy shooting bad guys in the game for as long as I could.
I think that there's definitely an opportunity here for a magic bullet playthrough.
So the gameplay, like the way the gameplay ends up cashing out is almost like a little kid like just jumping over railings.
I think that this animation, I think it's the thing that everybody sees, and you're like, holy shit, that looks so cool. Just look at this. Pop, pop.
Wearing turtlenecks, walking like this, sneaking around.
Noise.
There's something to be said for that like surface, kind of like childish way of looking at stuff.
The children just like big boobies, right?
They look like they're just filled with milk. It's just food. It's like, look at all that food.
Noise.
You know, so we get like more sophisticated with how we think about stuff. But I think the initial premise, like the initial childish premise, like it's not wrong. You can like bolster it as like an argument. You know what I mean? Like, it is cool to be a spy. It's fun to be a spy. It's fun to shoot bad guys. It's fun to be a ninja. I'm not getting anywhere in these games. But it doesn't matter.
The experience of the player to be able to play as a ninja.
I'm trying to wrap my head around the feeling that I had when I saw the Shinobi trailer.
Seeing the word reimagine just sends shivers up my spine.
Hope for the best.
They have a lot of goodwill for Streets of Rage 4.
But expect the worst.
We wanted to make a grand story. The game is punctuated by these big cinematics. Musashi's
I'm watching the same trailer as everybody else, and I just see red flags.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Takes 7 hits to kill an enemy. Like a regular dude. And there's a dodge roll. Jesus Christ.
Joe Musashi riding the dog.
So fucking stupid. Yeah. Of course. Who can forget Joe Shinobi and the Shino Buddies? Like, Shinobi's cheesy. Like a reinterpreted cheesy 80s action movie. This looks so self-serious.
This was not a Shinobi game.
We played solely to every Shinobi title there is. There are many things that we try to take from the previous title because the legacy is very important to us. Same time, we're trying to bring new enemies, new gameplay, because this needs to be a modern title for modern audience. So we're trying to mix both what makes this previous game great and what makes a modern game great as well.
It's like, yeah, we played all the old titles, and we tried to figure out how to make a game out of it, but we didn't like it. We didn't like any of it. So we're gonna make a modern game for modern audiences, and we're gonna call it Shinobi.
That this was something else.
This is for children, man.
I have my memories of like the Shinobi series as a kid. It was just like a cartoon character. It was just something that, like, Shinobi to me was taking a t-shirt and tie it around my head and run around and pretend to be a ninja. It had very little to do with the actual gameplay, which was too hard for me at the time. It was too hard and too advanced. It really was playing with toys and not learning a game. So I'm wondering if we're all having this like collective childhood memory of what Shinobi means to us, and for how many people it's something that they've only experienced as a child. So you have a childlike feeling about it. Like there's nothing wrong with that, except We have these adults walking around with like opinions and takes that have never really thought about this stuff, since they were a kid. They just be saying out of pocket shit. They do not have a robust adult thinking about what these things are, about what the name Shinobi means. So all it is in their brain is just run around with ninja stuff. Just want to do ninja stuff. Just want to run around being ninja / bad guys. That's it. It doesn't mean anything. Shinobi sort of straddles multiple genres that are all kind of like obliterated and don't have that proper taxonomy. They don't have that proper kind of like gatekeeping, so to speak. Positive gatekeeping. Nice gatekeeping. Put your gatekeeping comments in the Signy video. I don't want to hear it. Maybe we don't understand what these games are. Maybe like the broader audience who may be only holding on to this series in a kind of like in the childish memory sense. It's just kind of unaware of what these games do mean to people who actually really play them, and take them very seriously, and love the series for things that are below just the surface of a ninja killing bad guys. So I want to explore the idea of shinobiness.
Saddle up, Shinobuddies. If I'm gonna learn you a thing or two about what shinobi means, I reckon our first stop is into the Wild West of the 1980s arcades. Before the civilizing power of genre conventions and established mechanics, the primitive developer was as if in a dark cave, and could only make sense of this bright phosphorus glow now before them with grunts and moans. What they needed was language. Language to translate into this new medium, what it was to be. A spy, for example. The earliest instance of an arcade spy that I could find was back in 1981 with Sega's own 005. Cute tongue-in-cheek play on 007. They borrow the top-down, maze-and-chase style of Pac-Man and layer over this idea of stealth. And you can see the vision cone of the bad guys. We see the light and humorous presentation, using the cartoonish stereotype of trench coats and a hat. 005 will knock out his opponents with laughing gas and get into Keystone Cop-style hijinks across the ice skating rink.
Come on, man.
The infiltration and hijinks missions are also punctuated by action set pieces.
I hate this game.
If it wasn't for the name, I probably wouldn't even mention Agent Super Bond. So while it is a bit of a stretch, it is the first examples that we see of a spy just going in Signy style, all guns blazing and shooting up the place. It's also the first instance of an arcade spy rescue mission. In Atari's Cloak and Dagger, you play the role of a secret agent hired by Dolce & Gabbana to infiltrate an underground counterfeit handbag operation and just blow it to pieces. Or something like that. I honestly have no idea. I can only describe the gameplay as highly abstracted from its presentation, but in the cutscenes we again see the stereotypical cartoon spy, and this game introduces like the mad scientist, zany sci-fi element to the whole mix. Intrepid, by Canadian developer Nova Games, picks up where 005 left off, a top-down maze and chase style with a focus on stealth. We see another crack at a 3D abstraction, like the vision cones, where here you can't see what's inside the rooms because the character can't see what's inside the rooms. Despite the inherent fun and cartoonish nature of the medium at the time, Nova Games takes a more serious approach, bringing in the real-world elements of the Cold War. You're a Canadian spy sent by the Queen to infiltrate the Russian embassy and steal or recover documents, believe it or not.
Speed walking with your hands in your pocket is such a flex.
Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for...
The best known and most popular spy game of the era, Elevator Action. In fact, It's the only one of these games I've even heard of so far, since I got the idea for making this video. Elevator Action was one of the most popular and highest grossing machines of the arcade in 1983. So you best believe that every arcade developer at the time took notice.
Elevator Action is the one that, of all the games of this era, that kind of like made it out the furthest into the future. That was risky.
Elevator Action took advantage of the public's love and fascination for elevators, as they had just recently been invented.
Ah, shit. This game is trash.
With some basic language, discovered and established by the early pioneers, the creators at Namco had what they needed to craft a statement. No longer would the spy be consigned to the shadows. He would be a man of action. Let's ditch the goofball shenanigans of a fuddy-duddy cartoon spy. We're making something cool. Our hero should be cool. There was also vocabulary and concepts being developed in games that would eventually become the foundation of the beat-em-up genre.
I'm gonna hit you with the basics, but the basics are important. What are your verbs? Jump, shoot, duck. Fixed jump, and then if you press jump and then a direction, you can space it a little bit. High jump. They call him an albatross, but he's like a beautiful swan. This duck. Duck is huge. Oh. Duck. Duck. Goose. And duck also kind of puts you in a little bit of a bind. So because of the four-way control, you can't turn when you duck. Go back to neutral, turn, and then duck again. You can do it pretty fast. You can do it fast enough that you basically don't even pop up. Being able to turn around, and especially turn around under pressure, is a skill. That is a skill that you develop as you play this game. The stronger you play, the less ammunition becomes an issue. And it's cool, like you're limited by your ammo count because you can be doing this. How fast you can fire them bullets. So this life meter here is a little deceptive. You really die from one hit, but you have these, you can like bonk enemies as you go down from plane to plane. See if I can do it there. It counts contact as this sort of like secondary hit. So most contact, most punches, most like actions here, it does consider these bonkings. It does consider it a mistake, and it's affording you those mistakes. So it's a level of, it's a kind of leniency. Oh. One of the central mechanics of this game is that you have planes, right? Not platforms. I want to make the distinction here. It's not platforms. It's planes. So this interaction here is conceptually 3D space. You now understand that I'm in the background, and that's like a stairwell. So they can't see me because I am like behind them, and nothing interacts. Like once you see that work, the whole thing pops out into like a 3D space. You can't jump out of it, so it's not like, it doesn't work in the same way. So you're not jumping down from it, you're actually walking out from it, and now you're in front. It's so smart. This is a 3-dimensional game. This is a cool object. So in level 5 is a good example. From the top level, I can jump down, I can walk in, right? And then I can still jump up. This is like magic eye effect where you can sort of see it. Is it encodes it into a 3D, into a third dimension into your brain. You guys want to see something pretty cool? Check this out. You got a Sanwa lever kicking around? Probably got one of these things. Look, you've got these little bumps on it, right? Is that you can push this up and then you can turn it. Now you got a 4-way diamond gate. Like Rolling Thunder, where you're kind of like here, you know, so like you're down and you're facing away, and you kind of want to like make these kind of moves, and it feels really good. It feels so much better. Big improvement in the feel of the controls. There's a very naive way of thinking about it, just in terms of this came first, this came second, that makes it look like it's a progress or an evolution or something like that. But I think that that's a cop-out. All these things happen in conversation. From a top-level view, this is a Rolling Thunder clone. The same idea of planes here. Little differences in the controls, little differences in the mechanics, little differences in the way that the enemies are laid out, the levels are designed. It makes it a very different experience that I think is appropriate for the differences between like a spy and a ninja. Joe has unlimited ammo. Joe has a 8-way control. You can turn when you're crouched. You can also have a crouch walk. Your jump is a little less rigid than Rolling Thunder. You can jump while you shoot at any point, but you can't turn around. This makes Joe feel faster, more athletic, more agile, and more capable than Albatross. I think is appropriate for like a trained ninja versus a trained spy. And the way that enemy contact, aka the bonk, works a little bit differently. Shinobi also introduces a proximity attack. The scoring system rewards only using the proximity attacks and not using the shurikens at all, and that's how you get the Shinobi bonus. What's cool about doing that is that it gives like multiple difficulties into the game in like a really organic way. I use the ninjutsu here. I don't do any of this shit. Dude, I fucking love this game.
Before Shinobi, Sega would use traditional Japanese themes for the presentation of their arcade games. Meanwhile, popular arcade beat-em-ups were starting to take influence from Western action movies of the 80s, particularly the vigilante versus street gang subgenre, which were having a boom and having their own fun playing with apocalyptic, dystopian, and sci-fi themes. Ninjas, who were once the faceless mooks dispatched by supervillains for the heroes to beat up, were coming into their own and taking on the starring role. The ninja craze of the 80s spawned an entire subgenre of action film and were developing their own fictional ninja mythology that would influence the games that we played. The alchemy of gameplay, presentation, and pop culture at the time would grow to be a mighty branch on the family tree of gaming.
When you talk about like a clone, this is what people mean by it. This is like a straight ripoff. Wow, look at that jump. I've heard tell like programmers recreating games from like footage of it, and I wouldn't be surprised if something like that was the case here, because it looks like Rolling Thunder, but it does not feel like Rolling Thunder. I'd say this is like we have Rolling Thunder at home, but Rolling Thunder at home is actually pretty decent. Like, just like, check out your girl's ass. It's my ass now. See you later, sucker. Rough Rangers should be credited. They did bring back the elevator. The gameplay's not really reminiscent of it, but like the scenarios are. Where'd that grenade come from? Was that a hot dog? A mattress? What the fuck is that? Oh man, why are you throwing hot dogs at me? I like the kind of like cousinhood of like arcade games at this time. These are both games by Data East coming out roughly at the same time. You know, so this and RoboCop is like, in my brain, kind of linked. They both borrow some of the vocabulary of Rolling Thunder. But RoboCop stays more with like the run and gun, closer to what would become like the action platform, like whatever you want to call this genre. And Bad Dudes takes the idea of Rolling Thunder and then kind of mixes in some like Spartan X. What I think what Krygor calls like a parallax beat 'em up. Bad Dudes gets a bad rap. I think this game's sweet. I definitely want to understand kind of like how to get good at it. We also want to look at thematically where these games are coming from. Like, such a 1980s like movie game. Vigilantes and ninjas and gangs and the city and like urban decay. Throw ninjas in the mix, so it's like kind of like there's like something like it's like grungy, but it's romantic and exotic, but also like really pedestrian. It's such a cool era of media. I'm bad, man. I'm sorry. This game's sick. You're starting to see like a moveset, like jumping,
like this, does one way. If you jump then kick, you get like a straight kick. You can do the spin kick if you press both buttons at the same time. Beam up weapons. Are you kidding me? Rolling Thunder right there, dude. Very reminiscent of the concept in 005. I love that. This is like the most like polished of like the James Bond likes, you know. Like, would anyone be surprised to hear that this was a James Bond game that they could not or did not care to get the license for? So this may seem familiar to anybody. I mean, this is talk about family tree, man. I mean, this is directly referenced in Shinobi 3. Nah, man, we get a credit feed for the sake of the country. Oh my goodness, you have the high jump. It just doesn't function. Oh shit, I got him with a kick. How Shinobi was that shit? That was awesome. Making a cohesive game with this much variety in like stages and stuff is really cool. Probably the most Rolling Thunder like area. This is kind of like that like Super Bond vision, if you want to put it into that presentation sense. This is very like very futuristic, silly, gadgety, kind of like zany. We got some real belt scrolling shit right here. I think this kind of stuff is really interesting, very experimental. It's like this is like aesthetically like Rolling Gunner. It's not obviously gameplay wise nothing like Rolling Gunner, but it's how cool is that? That's cool. Then back to Bell. This is cool. I don't know if I'd call this a very good game, but it's really cool. When we talk about like modernizing games, those look at games that actually don't work already. This game has problems, but like it tried something really interesting. I still think the premise of it is, I think a lot of the ideas here are really interesting and could be done better by like a designer with the technology and the like wider frame of reference in 2025. Look at these ninjas driving cars. This is crazy. Bring back Special Project Y. You know, remake something like this. So you have like your gun weapon, and then like Shinobi, like a proximity attack, ammunition like Rolling Thunder, and there's also a high jump like Rolling Thunder, and you also have this roll, which is so broken, but very quickly you will not be able to get away with this. You will not be able to get away with these shenanigans. We got hot dogs. So there's interaction on platforms, so it's platforms, not planes. Maybe that's like Contra influence. I feel like I'm kind of ignoring Contra on purpose. It's like so overdone that I think Run and Gun basically is Contra, and a lot of the other ideas just like they're just gone, and they're not gone because they're bad ideas. I think they're gone because whatever games were before Metroidvania, they're just Metroidvania now. I think Run and Gun kind of became Contra slug, and a lot of these things are just gone. They're just obliterated. So we have 8-way control. We still have the crouch walk, a little less graceful. You can shoot up now. No proximity attack. One of the craziest things about eSWAT is where the character on the screen is in order to scroll it. Look at that. So look how small the playfield is in that forward direction. It makes it a very aggressive game. So you can get hit up here. You don't have the conceptual planes of Rolling Thunder and Shinobi. To the unobservant, it would seem like basically the same as like a Rolling Thunder or Shinobi system, but it isn't. There is a plane effect here. So here you can see that this guy's legs are behind. You gotta hit his body. Right? Hit his body is fine, but his legs are in the other dimension. So there's the bonk, and we have that interaction that we have in Shinobi that we don't have in Rolling Thunder. You legit run out of ammo in this game, and now you're in. Crouch walk, check. Sweet high jump, check. Planes, no. A little bit of a command input with the jump attack. If you tap the buttons quick, you get a little jump attack. If you do it more loose, you can use the knife. Items work out as sort of like a Rolling Thunder with a Rolling Thunder ammo system. You have it as separate buttons. You always have your close range attack. What a unit! Shoot in 2 different directions. Really mess people up. Oh, we got a little shmup. We got a little shmup up in her. A little shmup up in the ups. Whoa, what? Oh yeah. Your high jump is also a flip kick. That is so sick. Does this look familiar to anybody? Thunder Fox is the shit. Even in the most cliche way, where you say, oh, this is if Rolling Thunder and Shinobi had a baby in space, right? Like, that's a pretty good way to describe this game, I think. And yet, it is the kind of baby that you're like, why don't they have more babies like this? There should be more babies. In Surprise Attack is where you see how rich the ideas in Rolling Thunder and conversationally in Shinobi are. Of all the games, this is probably the best and most interesting synthesis of those 2 things. And it's such a shame how far we are. Like how far are we from something like Surprise Attack? Look at this. Look at these beautiful babies. What even is this? Here's some shenanigans here. Upside down, anti-gravity. This game is fun in every single moment of it. There we go. We got a little, we got 8-way. The jump is interesting. The jump. Oh, I like that. So the jump is actually pretty stiff like Rolling Thunder, but you can turn around and shoot. Button to shoot, button to like kind of swim boost. Yeah, this isn't the first like Scuba Spy. This is so crazy. They're taking all the hot Californian babes and turn them into alien lizard women. Based on a true story. We don't have like the gaming culture to like appreciate things without it being kind of like all or nothing. You know, we have like a consumer mindset, so it's very like, it's like we're buying cars, you know, and we're like kicking the tires and looking at all this stuff. But these games are, I mean, let's be honest, this stuff is free. Taking kind of the money out of the culture You don't have to think about things in terms of like, well, this is going to be $70, so it's got to be XYZ. It's like, well, it's free, so you're really only talking about your time. And this is a good time. Thunderjaws is a good time. All right, ladies. There's plenty of me to go around. I don't know if I would call this like a great game, but it is something to say that when you have given the opportunity to have the license of like one of the biggest movies of this era, you looked at Rolling Thunder as the example. I mean, this is already like you're looking at a 5-year-old game as the template, for something tried and true. Like I think that's noteworthy. Yeah, I thought I had better. Kind of has the same kind of like jump from Thunderjaws.
Until now, if you wanted real arcade games, you had to go to the arcades. Now you don't.
Hey yo, $5.
Sega Genesis has changed all that with games that look, play, and sound like the real arcade games, because they are the real arcade games. From Sega, the masters of arcade entertainment. Now you can play Golden Axe, today's blockbuster arcade hit, at home, with 2 new levels not even in the arcade game, plus the hottest library of real arcade hits.
That's city.
But only if you own Genesis. From Sega, we bring the arcade experience home.
Translating ideas from the language of arcade to console was not straightforward. Some developers would, rather than compromise their vision, would try to do something completely different, for better or for worse. Of course, there was the issue of the horsepower of the hardware, but the home computers and consoles at the time were developing their own vocabulary, language, and culture. This created tension. Noriyoshi Oba, creator of The Revenge of Shinobi, was early to this realization and had a theory on these different cultures clashing at home on our television screens. Perhaps he understood that the arcade environment itself drove the design, appeal, and relationship with short, inexpensive, skill-based gaming, and how difficult it would be to translate it to the home, where nobody was watching, nobody was waiting for their chance to play, where other games weren't vying for their attention with bombastic attract screens, eager to pull players into their world in an instant with the urgency and immediacy of arcade game design. Perhaps he rejected this culture and preferred the solitary adventure and the more systemic hooks that computer games offered. A philosophy that would take over the industry in the years and decades to come. The arcade at home required something else. A different culture and philosophy of the players themselves, which manufacturers and developers were unwilling or unable to cultivate. Noriyoshi Oba would design Revenge of Shinobi with this philosophy at its core. We can't know for sure, but what we do know, we know from his words. We didn't want to simply port the arcade version of Shinobi. We wanted to do something completely different. The reason why is that console games have their own playstyle, distinct from arcade games. Arcade games were built around the concept that if you pay 100 yen, you get to play for about 3 minutes. And that was reflected in the way those games played too. On the other hand, for a console game, you'd pay something like 6,000 yen, around $60. So you needed a gameplay system that would make players feel like they got their money's worth. One easy example, it's usually a one-hit equals death system, whereas console games will use a life bar. In a console game, you have to let people experience the full game to the end, even if they make a mistake. As such, we knew Revenge of Shinobi would need a brand new system, and only the setting and world would be carried over from the arcade Shinobi. In a 2D action game, the jumping is very important, and I thought adding variety to different kinds of jumps you could do would lend some depth to the gameplay. The somersault was something, therefore, I knew I wanted from the beginning. Of course, without levels designed to take advantage of it, having a new jump is meaningless on its own. So we came up with the idea of using the somersault jump to switch between the foreground and background layers. In other words, while all 2D games use the dimensions of width and height, with this I wanted to add the third dimension, depth. At the time, I don't think any game had used such a play mechanic before. People often complain to me, hey, Joe Musashi is a ninja, shouldn't he be able to swim? That was a tradition we carried over from the first arcade Shinobi though, that falling in the water kills you. Like I said, tradition.
If you get better, you can advance using only your sword. The game will get easier because you'll be able to stock shurikens and use them on enemies you find hard. For players who aren't very good though, and still want to get further in the game, the fire shurikens are there for them to use. I created them as a first line of defense for such players. Then, as a second backup, for players who are still having problems, I created the ninjutsu. If the shurikens weren't enough, players can try the lightning or fire magic. Finally, as a last desperate measure, there's the Mijin Ninjutsu. That was the order I had in mind when I balanced the game. The ability to set shurikens to infinite was just a little bonus I threw in. We can call it an emergency intervention.
Hard to look at this from like a modern gamer's perspective. I think we all have that module downloaded pretty well, where it's like, oh, why is there limited ammunition? Oh, why did they spawn behind you?
We look back at these like arcade games as like old and outdated, but they were actually like the premier like kitty men game. Like it was the best graphics, the best sound, and you couldn't replicate it at home. So I think even just in this shallow, oh, like look at these graphics, you went to the arcade to see the cutting edge of graphics.
Modern game module, you could see where all the things that are frustrating are, for sure. But again, I'm gonna compare it to like, yeah, wouldn't it be nice if my plonk moved sideways? I'd solve a lot of my problems right now. If my plonk moved sideways.
It was like the peak, you know, like the strip club of gaming. You're just like, oh my god, look at all this stuff, you know. But like, it also, because of how when you have like a real packed arcade, not where it's all spread out, but when you have these real packed arcades, it's such a competition.
Namco made their game, and journalists are like, well, I sure would like this pawn to move this way. It sure would help me get my review out faster if the pawn moved this way. I sure would, quote unquote, have more fun. And if I have more fun, I'll tell more people to buy your game.
Everyone's got the titties out. You know what I mean? You need to have the relationship. Like, you have to have the goods. Like, you have to have the depth of play. Because at some point, it's like, well, you know, titties out. Here's your $1. Get out of my face. I'll go somewhere else. I'll go somewhere where I'm enjoying myself a little bit more. Where there's more substance. Where there's more milk.
Oh, these games were made to eat your quarters and take your money and stuff like that. Like, we've been stuck with that quarter muncher narrative forever. How stupid were we to walk up to these machines and give them our money if they were unfair? Like, how fucking stupid do you think we were? How fucking stupid do you think we are?
What makes it interesting is that it is the most surface, shallow thing in the world, and the whole market is established on just being attractive and being loud. Then there's this other depth to it that is created from the high level of competition, creates this sort of, is where the depth comes from, that you have to have the goods.
They were designed in a way like a sucker game. You know, you're calling them like, if they were like a carnival sucker game, where they're designed to make you seem like you can win and then fool you on some kind of psychological level. You know what I mean? To compel you to compel you to behave in some way, but actually the whole thing was rigged against you. It's like, that's kind of like, how dumb do you think we are? You know, and they know exactly how dumb we are.
You have to have on top, but you have to have the goods because there's always someone else. There's always another game that is just as pretty and just as compelling. No, not just as smart. If you're not smart, you move on.
You know, the arcade is this like high pressure market. The only thing that gets through is diamonds. If your game is bullshit, it's not going to last. It's not going to last from the players. The arcade operators cannot compel you to play it more. There's an evolutionary pressure going on in the arcade. Is natural evolution pressure systems that we've ever had in gaming.
You can even probably like chart like the Titty Men evolution into when it was like, oh, look at these graphics.
Media, exact opposite. The selection pressure is all happening in the narrative space.
Then there's like a level at home that like they're like, you get like consoleized. They're made easier, they're made more convenient, and they're made so instead of like a short, difficult experience, it becomes a longer, less difficult experience. You know what I mean? So instead of a game being like half an hour that takes 10, 20, 30, 50 hours to beat, it becomes 2, 4, 6 hours.
By the time people are playing it disappointed, it doesn't even matter anymore.
There's nothing you can do about it except for affect future sales, which is such a smaller percentage of the overall total. The whole thing is almost like player agnostic. It doesn't matter if the game is good.
I guess once those like kitties came home, like once the graphics became so good at home, nobody wanted the arcade games anymore.
So like that unnatural evolution process is really only in how much like the media can hype you up and how much they can get away with. They're like, well, what I would give a 9 to is this. So like the pressure's it's completely different.
You just hit the start button, you credit feed through it, and then you're one and done. Pump and dump, just move on. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Can you imagine the fit if people were like, if games didn't let you do that and you had to keep starting over? Like, it would work, but like, consumers would be like, oh, like you gotta get good at it. Nobody ever figured that out. And I think that was truly the death of the arcade, was that it's like, I'm paying this money, I'm paying whatever, 8, 10, 20 quarters, just bang, 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 getting through it. Why am I paying $50 for this? It only cost me virtually $10, $15, $20. Oh, it's funny, the house phone. Yeah, it's like
low skill, low cost, low attention, low friction. Has all been sold to us through these like quality of life and comfort and whatever other like however ways they spin it. It's like more modern, more comfortable, more quality of life, evolved, revolution. They've been selling all these like ridiculous words. And I'm gonna tell you, man, like margarine is an evolution of butter. Wow.
Is it margarine? Ain't butter. Yeah, you go rock out. Just not here.
You know what I mean? Margarine is where you take oil and make fake butter out of oil. Margarine is progress.
What do you think it is?
And they sold you fucking margarine. You're like, oh no, margarine's great. I can't believe it isn't butter. It's like, because you're an idiot is why you can't believe it isn't butter. Because you don't shit about butter.
It's like soap.
It's like soap. That's progress. Yeah, we used to have butter, but now we have margarine, which is fake butter.
Worse.
No, it's better. It's the future of butter. It's the future of butter.
Yeah.
Butter is obsolete. We now have future butter. How did we ever live without it?
For all of Obasan's player-side accommodations, he still created a properly challenging game and beloved title. Revenge of Shinobi requires skill, learning, memorization, and adaptability to conquer, despite the many ways around the challenge of its core level design. All that said, from the point of view of 1987 arcade ninjas, it's hard not to call it a disappointment. Not an evolution, but a departure. The promise of bringing the arcade home that Sega sold us was often compromised, not just in its presentation, but in its gameplay. Adapting franchises to a conceptual modern audience was becoming common practice. How many quarters equals $50 was not a math problem. It was a psychological one.
Games that look, play, and sound like the real arcade games, because they are the real arcade games.
For the Shinobi series, this can be somewhat reconciled by the Japanese naming convention. The Super Shinobi was a markedly different thing. But would our arcade hero ever come around again? A proper follow-up to Shinobi Arcade would yet emerge from the shadow of Obasan's revenge. The fraternal twins called Shadow Dancer brought the Musashi Claim's run-and-gun martial art technique to the arcade and console in distinct games. This was 1987 Shinobi in the hands, but with more verticality in the level design, pernicious enemy placement to thwart experienced ninja, and Yamato, the goodest boy in all of gaming, fighting by your side. What we wouldn't realize right away was that this was the end of the arcade ninja. Shinobi and the Shadow Dancer pair would be the entirety of the Musashi's run-and-gun arcade adventures. and those magical places we journey to, with portals of wood and glass, or on borrowed time. The Shinobi series would live to ride another day. The Super Shinobi 2, or Shinobi 3 Return of the Ninja Master, is considered by many the peak of the series. The emphasis here was on mobility and platforming. Shinobi 3's Joe was a swift and deadly force, which set it apart from its predecessor, Revenge. While it still retained the structure of the Super Shinobi, one can feel the honor it does to its arcade origins in its fast pacing, and Shinobi's trademark balance of approachability and challenge. Nobody would be surprised to hear that the director brought in to salvage this once struggling project was a former Data East dev, and that it was being made in the same building as the legendary Treasure Incorporated, who assisted the Shinobi team. Shinobi 3 has become a canonical entry in the must-play games of the 16-bit era, and will be enjoyed by both casual and hardcore players for years to come. A spell was being cast on an entire generation of gamers. Three-dimensional beings who had lost themselves in two-dimensional worlds, being conjured into a new dimension that would be more like reality, more real, more immersive, more everything. And once that threshold was crossed, there'd be no going back. This was the world that Shinobi Legions was sent off to die in. The latest entry in the storied franchise was already a relic of a bygone era. To see the Saturn Shinobi with opened eyes in pure light, a game darkened for decades now by the shadow cast of the narrative of progress, is to break free of the spell, if only for a moment. The polygonal eye candy was so sweet that refined, iterative game design was bitter on the tongue. It didn't matter if it was good. It had to be new. It had to innovate. It had to pay tribute to that mighty Lord Progress. Is our new technology not a wonder to behold? And you spit in its face with your raster graphics. Shinobi Legions did innovate, but it was of the hand and not the eye. The spell was cast and had taken hold. They called it progress, but it was more like time stopped, and so much language and history would be forgotten. The Spy would be reimagined once again, with new gameplay never before possible. Shooting around corners, infiltrating enemy buildings, using the environment for safety. Using stealth to sneak past guards in maze-like arenas. Shooting at the bad guys from the safety of cover. The era of the ninja action hero would come to an end as he would return to the shadows, and any attempts to return him to his arcade roots would be ridiculed as outmoded by agents of progress. "3D promised freedom, but brought the chain of realism. An inversion of values was taking place, and a narrowing of possibilities for what could be translated from the imagination and how. Toru Shimizu of Sega Overworks believed in a vision of a shinobi in this world. An elegant arcade-informed action game with the cool factor to seduce new players into its challenge. Shimizu's goal was to pair the sensation of 3D space with the speed and responsiveness of a 2D game, rejecting the RPG-like elements that were creeping into the action genres. Some pixels did manage to pass through that 3D membrane, one of the few survivors of the 3D revolution. Symphony of the Night took the ornamentation of the Castlevania series and put it into a maze with RPG elements. From today's vantage, it's as far back as most will dare to go. Everything that came before is buried underneath its sand. The iframe dodge roll is a 2D solution for a 3D problem, as it is very difficult, if not impossible, to accurately judge depth in a two-dimensional game. The advent of 3D graphics and cameras did not mitigate this problem, as it doesn't matter how many polygons your game pushes, they are still ultimately 2D games. The iframe dodge became a staple of 3D action games, popularized by big franchises like Kingdom Hearts, Monster Hunter, and the Souls games. But in some strange perversion, this mechanic found its way into 2D games around the 2010s, without a perspective problem to solve. Flattens out the gameplay to one-dimensional rhythm, and not even the fun kind with kawaii Japanese Vocaloids.
Sugoi.
Introducing the Lord who revived the dormant Joe Musashi. Redefine the art in vengeance.
Wake up in the morning, slaving for a sign. So that
And in my opinion, has now made the greatest Shinobi game of all time.
She alright, man.
I don't know if I deserve all of this like praise and everything, but yeah, it's very nice to have the fans like yourself and the community around it.
Wait, what? How are you? What? As far as I can tell, you can't make this game harder. Make sure I'm on the right one. Okay.
Just want to bring back my cherished license, and that's what Sega is trusting me with.
This is the classic Shinobi gameplay. Look at this. What do? I'm pinned down. Let me go over this box. Does he do anything?
You not only did you bring back classic enemy types, I saw the pistol, the 3-shot pistol guy from the arcade. I'm like, oh, he doing that.
Where am I? Like, God. All right, I'll leave you to it.
Then I saw the Revenge of Shinobi Ninja that would jump up, throw just the 3 stars, and come back down to, right?
In the game, basically, we try to pay homage to different games from the Shinobi series.
It looks surface level. It looks like surface level references.
I wanted to make it simple like Shinobi 2 and 3. Like you walk, the enemy dies when you throw a shuriken, and you move forward. But it was kind of boring. So you have many systems. So you have the platforming and
well, guess I'll trot back to over there.
And the platforming got interesting when we started to implement a lot of animation, grab a ledge, for example, roll over an obstacle.
Hey guys, excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me, everybody. I'm trying to get to the game. I'm trying to get to the fun part. Excuse me. Hey guys. Excuse me, guys. You know what the fun part of this game is? Oh my god. These are the things that are in yeah, those are the things in the demo later. This sucks, dude. This just sucks.
We realized it was the most fun you could have was with the combat.
Maybe that's the philosophy there. Is like we're just gonna make a game so like it's just so boring, so we'll give you these other things to do. We're not gonna make you do it. Alright, here we go. Here we go. Alright. Alright, everybody. Oh shit. I forgot about you. Oh!
And we expanded on that, and expanding it.
Yeah. This is kind of like beat 'em up in a
we
way.
realized we were kind of making a beat 'em up platformer.
I feel like, but like it's like in a stupid way.
It makes sense. You know, here you have platforming. You have to take into account the enemy AI.
What is he doing? What is happening? Come here. Oh.
And to me, the game changer also was the ninja flip, where you hit and then you kind of can evade.
How's that for ninja flip?
Most of our focus was to reward player.
I'm the lab monster. Oh my god. Okay. I can't. It's like, let's go.
Even in the combat, like the execution system, for example, is a way to reward the player.
Everything explodes in a confetti of resources. Like this game's like a Doom Eternal.
If I want to worry only about healing and focus only on the healing properties, and to have the maximum amount of health, the maximum amount of heals when I do my ninja arts, all of this stuff, you allow that.
I can get more health and I can make healing. I'll get even more health. More health I don't need.
And these rewards will help you ultimately gain new powers.
I could trade it in for the nothing I care about. Get some other move that I clearly don't need.
Because you could basically you could spam your katana, kill the enemy or not. You could move away from the combat. But if you spend time a little bit, you get rewards. And these rewards will help you ultimately gain new powers.
Shop!
When I went to the menu system and I saw all the additives that I'm able to enhance Joe with.
Do I have to? I'm gonna dot. I'll just dot.
Unlike any Shinobi game that I've ever played, usually you play the character how the developer has intended you to play the character.
The scoring system rewards only using the proximity tags and not using the shurikens at all. And that's how you get the Shinobi bonus.
In this one,
it's like, here's this guy, right? So here's how you fight this guy, right? It's just, very stupidly just walk past him and he misses and then hit him from behind. But if you don't want to do that, you can play it your way and hit this stupid fucking button and you don't have to do that stuff. Everything undermines itself. Everything in this game is like, here's this. Don't do it. You don't have to do it. Do it if you think it's fun. If you don't think it's fun, we'll give you a way to not do it.
I can play Joe my way.
Yes.
It's like gaming by consent.
Listen, I understand that you paid money for this game and this, but I don't want to pressure you. There's this relic, and you can buy this move, but you don't need it. But if you like, if that's what you're into, I just want to make sure that you have a nice time.
Was that your intent to allow somebody to play a la carte how they want to play?
Yeah, we offered a lot of different ways because why not? So the more you add, the more you get solution for players.
It's underdetermined. You have a million options, and I think the challenge for most people, honestly, like the more I think about it, is they got all these toys. They spent the money in the shop. They're like, oh, there's toys. Let me get all these toys. And now you don't know which one to use. So you're sitting like a dope, running through all these options, trying to figure it out. And all you needed is walk, duck, jump.
Make your button mashing more button mashy. This way you can mash the button in a different way.
Ready? Let me get hurt. You ready for this shit? Look at my health. Fast travel. Oh, it's back.
Oh, it's okay. Listen, you made a mistake. It's okay. I understand. You don't have to feel bad that you've fallen asleep during this game, and that's where most of your mistakes are coming from, is from absolute boredom.
We had one player who fell asleep.
Oh.
No, I think he was tired. He was coming from a night of partying or something. But he literally.
Yeah, I understand that. I know that I'm being stubborn, but it's like, when's this game gonna wake me up?
I only want there to be consequences if you want there to be consequences.
You know what it is? It's like my whole life is a Metroidvania, man. I don't need this shit. I don't need this shit in games. It's like cutting through the red tape of it's like a goddamn bureaucracy. Wrangler!
You feel like you can't dodge? That's okay. Just walk past everybody.
Go fucking on with it already. Let me look at this dumb map. Yeah, and I think overall, it's like where the checkpoints are going to be valuable is when you have to go back and do this stuff, because it's not even fun to go do. It's not even fun to have to go back and do this stuff. So you're just going to look at the map.
Listen, so we have some backtracking to do. I don't want you to feel like you have to go through the whole stage, so I'll make it more convenient for you. If you'd like to go back and get a treasure, you may, and if not,
you'd have to completely redo the levels. I think that you drop the Dead Cells bullshit, because you don't know how Dead Cells works.
So you're going to get these like abilities to just get more parts of things. You're just going to go back and do those things. So it does beg the question to me, which is, why not just make it a fucking level? Just put it in, just like why you gotta make spaghetti out of it? You know, why you gotta make a chore out of absolutely everything? I've already fought 2 of these squads. Why are you telling me about this shit? That was the easiest one yet. I guess because they put it right in front of your path. Like, that's kind of shit I'm talking about, man. This is baby stuff.
May I hold your hand? May I give you a compliment on your appearance?
Listen, the graphics are gorgeous. I'm just not impressed. I just don't care anymore about this shit.
So placing Joe on top of the dog. First, this is cool.
Riding the dog actually feels kind of terrible.
Secondly, I didn't want to animate a horse. It's very.
You didn't want to animate a horse.
The graphical effect is pretty cool, but also it makes it feel kind of weird. I don't know.
I think you picked the
but
right
I wanted
choice
to have a throwback to Shinobi 3.
Yes.
And what will make it better? Oh, and can we add a kaiju in the back?
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah. So just if you look at stuff with the prism of a kid, like everything can be good. Getting stuck with what you felt at the time is not good.
Like when you have this level of talent, people are gonna want to play your game no matter what. My opinion is the only reason to do half the shit that to do is because you just want to see the animations and you just want to you know what I mean? It's just like that, kind of you just want to enjoy the crunch of the presentation. So that's my timer. I'm gonna have to have a real hard think about whether or not I'm gonna return this game right now or not. it's kind of shitty to get a game and then return, but it's also kind of shitty to make a game like that.
I have to also remind myself that I'm a gamer as well, and I find modern games more appealing. They are better in every aspect than retro games. I have a nostalgia. I have a very good memories from these games, but they will be better with gameplay from now.
It's like, yeah, we played all the old titles, and we tried to figure out how to make a game out of it, but we didn't like it. We didn't like any of it. So we're gonna make a modern game for modern audiences, and we're gonna call it Shinobi.
I can deal with disappointment. Happens all the time. This feels more like a betrayal. There's this opportunity to bring back a kind of gameplay and design ethic, like in a design ethos, like a whole lost language and vocabulary and concepts. And that's not what's happening. I think they went a safe and dare I say cowardly route. Or Streets of Rage 4, I think it's fair to say, kicked off a beat 'em up revival and brought that genre back into the zeitgeist. What's Shinobi bringing back? 2018 indie Metroidvanias? Thank God. Thought we'd never play those again.
It's got serious problems with it as a game. That doesn't mean people can't have fun with it. The big thing that I showed that really kind of set people off was the no collision. That's not really even the beginning of the issues with this game. I think there's no problem with the mechanics or anything in and of itself. It's this philosophy of where this game comes from. It's like a fundamental problem with how these people think about game design. And there's just no intention in any of this. It's like if they don't understand the consequences of any system, the whole thing feels to me like I feel like I'm at a children's tea party. And it's a personal defect of mine that I cannot pretend that there's tea in this cup. I cannot enjoy myself. It's like, oh, have these crumpets. I'm like, wow, these are delicious crumpets. I can't do that for that long before I'm like, there's no tea in here. And you know what? Sucks. I actually like tea. Just keep humoring this scenario. And that is how I feel. Oh, God. As a Shinobi fan, I would just burn this to the ground and get Shadow Gangs.
Arcade gaming failed to materialize at home because the culture of skill-based gaming failed to translate to home. For the homeboys, if you pay enough money, you don't have to get good. In short, credit feeding, paid for up front. Your money wasn't an ante, an entry fee, but an all-access pass to the scrolling paper theater of content.
There's no voice acting in Rolling Bird, which means that there's no voice actors in Rolling Bird, telling you on Twitter which side to butter your bread on so that they think you're a good person. So this modern interpretation of Rolling Thunder may be a tough pill for the modern audience to swallow, but it sure seems modern to me, with its minimalist presentation, endless procedurally generated levels, taking many of the constraints of Rolling Thunder and putting it into the structure of a roguelike, although there is a progression system. It's called the Online Leaderboard. Is roguelike the secret sauce to modernizing arcade games? No. From the BDSM-clad street gangs dressed up in the Temu version of Vivienne Westwood's Sex Shop, to the flamboyant hair metal soundtrack, JKM Corp's love letter to the 80s arcade and culture is so spot on, it's almost parody. But spending some time controlling Ninja Dan, in the meticulously designed levels of Shadow Gangs, and you can feel the earnestness pouring through every aspect of this game, without gimmicks and only some very subtle changes to the formula. Shadow Gangs truly feels like a Shinobi 1.5, a worthy adopted son into the Shinobi arcade family. But spiders, you say. What if I liked Revenge of Shinobi? Is there no modern love for the old Battle Axe console games of yore? Well, my friend, you're in luck. Do I have a hidden gem for you? And there ain't nothing we love more on YouTube than a hidden gem. You ever heard of G-Rev? Yes, that G-Rev. Border Down, Under Defeat, and Strania made an action platformer called Ninja Kamui Shinobi Origins. If we lived in a world of justice, this is what it would mean to reimagine the 90s action platformer for the modern era. As if Revenge of Shinobi and Legions continued to influence today's games. Are the controls slick? No. Is it polished to a shine, free of jank and friction? Hell no. But it has that voice, that calls to you from the deep to keep trying, to master its mechanics, learn its quirks and idiosyncrasies, and keep coming back for more. When I say hidden gem, I mean it. There are 2 names on the leaderboard, and one of them is mine. If you do decide to take the plunge, the default difficulty is easy, and it is not even worth trying. Go to the normal mode, and better yet, play Score Attack. Maybe you agree with the consensus and put Shinobi 3 on the pedestal. I'm not mad at you. In fact, we got something for you too. The brilliant, underrated, and underappreciated Brazilian development house Joy Masher feels the same way you do. So much so that they did something about it. Vengeful Guardian Moonrider is so much Shinobi 3, with a little twist of the structure of Mega Man. Personally, I find it to be more challenging and punishing than Shinobi 3, but I think that's to the game's credit. Assuming every game is anybody's first game is the stupidest trend in game design. You're not making games for baby gamers, but you are making gamers babies. Knock it off, you silly gooses. Maybe you still feel left out in the cold, because you're thinking, I like Shinobi 3 fine, but I wish it was an arcade game. Alright, you kinky fella, I got a game for you. A modern sequel to the post-SNK era Neo Geo Visco title Gonryu. That's a mouthful. I've only recently learned about this game, so I don't have a ton of time in it or much to say about it, other than it is a sick game and I want to play it more. Is there anything else that needs to be said? I put in some credits and I had a good time. That's the review in the arcade way. Should I play the game? Yes, you should. Simple as that, man. It's as simple as that.
Well, we got a little shmup. We got a little shmup up in her. A little shmup up in the ups.
Now this one is probably the biggest stretch by looking at it, but Wallachia, Reign of Dracula, feels to me like a classic Mega Drive, big body, chunky graphic run and gun game. Sit on the floor, Indian style, with my face too close to a CRT, ready to throw my controller right through it. You may have heard of the game as a quote-unquote Castlevania clone from a bunch of reviewers who don't know shit about butter. It is pure, old-school, console-style run-and-gun action, and I highly recommend it. Maybe you like the direction that the new Shinobi game is going, with a combo-focused, sideways, character action, beat-em-up-y, kinda Metroidvania, Dead Cell-y, whatever. Maybe you like that kind of stuff, but also found the game to be empty, hollow, and a bit shit. Well, I'm not gonna leave you out in the cold. Magenta Horizon. This is not a game I have a ton of experience with, but I have kicked the tires and do find it to be pretty hardcore. But I take it on the word of serious character action fans who know. If we want to play some rocking games today, we don't gotta go that far from home. The Shinobi series still has some secrets. So I'm gonna tell you something. They lied to you about Shinobi Legions, boy. People be dunking on that game, memeing on that game. For my money, outside of the arcade-style Shinobi games, Shinobi Legions is the best one of them all. I'm just gonna say it. Best moveset in the series, best combat in the series. Don't fight it, feel it. Well, that's all great and stuff. What I like about the new Shinobi is that I get to play it on my Nintendo handheld. Funny you should say that. From 2025, all of a sudden, Shinobi 3DS don't look that bad. I gave this game a lot of shit back in the day for not being Shinobi. But you know what? That bar has been moved significantly. I didn't think it could get worse. Shinobi 3DS, in my mind, does a lot of the things that Art of Vengeance wanted to do, but much, much better. Hey, Spiders, why do I need new games at all? That's a good question. One we should all be asking ourselves.
I scream, you scream, we all love titties. Someone is telling you they're fake. Don't tell them that, well, IGN said it's probably got 10 gallons of milk in there. It just makes you sound like a boob.
Big, juicy graphics should indicate that a lot of time, attention, care, effort, and nutrition went into the making of this title. So every console generation, when we see these titties keep getting bigger, so of course there's more nutrition, right? Like, that makes sense to me too, but it's like a proxy for nutrition. It's like we're not looking to see, like, no one's testing to see if these things are good. So what someone who's playing the game might not notice, this like primitive rule
big melons equal more food, that rule exists and is like deep in your bones somewhere, like somewhere that is that is like a deep programming kind of like heuristic, like an optimization tactic in your brain. Players may not test that. A player may just go along with it because it seems to be the way things are. I can already tell that like a gamer is thinking in their heads, oh, you can hack that, you can exploit that so easily. Now, whether that's getting exploited on purpose or just by coincidence, I will do my best to get into that. And if I find anything interesting, I will share it on this channel. We'll get there. Please be patient. Please be excited. So from that point of view, the irony is not lost on me that the modern audience concept of like constantly churning players, of constantly getting the old ones out and bringing in the new suckers. From that point of view, I understand the modern audience meta. I understand the motivation to churn out old players that are demanding of more and more nutrition, to keep replacing them with new suckers who don't demand as much. Is that it's just a resource drain. We don't have enough nutrition to go around, so let's get the more expensive people, like people that require more and more nutrition to keep growing stronger and stronger. Let's just get rid of them. Let's get new suckers because it's just cheaper to keep running it, and they're easy. And they're easy. You just make the things big, make the things bigger. That's all you got to do. You don't have to have a quality if you can express the idea of like quantity as quality. It's just a hack. Let's keep hacking the people we can hack. Why are we chasing some other meta? This one works for us, and let's get rid of people who figured it out. Just get them out of here. What is modern? What is the modern audience? Like, what is the modern person, if not he or she, with the ability to like break free from these like primitive rules? Like this, who can't like break free from like this primitive meta? What is modernity if not that? We don't need this shit anymore. Clearly, those rules don't work anymore. Playing along with those rules is so clearly unnecessary. Have you seen the modern mommy meta? Like, they're not making the food. The industry is making the food. And the milk is for the milkshake to bring the boys to the yard on the gram. That's the meta. So what are we even talking about? It's goofball shit. So here you are. You are the modern audience, witnessing this madness in just complete shock and horror. Like, what the fuck is going on here? It doesn't make sense to a modern mind. So you are who you are. You are a being of light. You are the player set in this modern landscape seeking maximum nutrition. That is the game. That has always been the game. That was the game then. That was the game here. That was the game here. And that's the game now. And that's going to be the game in the future. That is always the game. If we're looking for good, nutritious milk, what's the value of listening to people tell you how much they like to suck? What value is that to you? It's just, you know what it is. You know what it is. You know what it is. And you know what it is. And we all know what it is. And I don't know why we like watching other people do it, but we all know what is going on here. We all know what it is. 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 Ugh, I think you got some review on me. That's why when we find people who can give us insight into this game, they can give us vocabulary to talk about it. They can give us insight to understand it. It is so precious. It is worth more. It is worth more than its weight in milk. Because that's the thing, you know, is that we are the new people. We are the modern people.
we're at the edge of this thing. We don't need this shit, right? Like you as just you. Like you're just like a dude, or you're just like a gal, or you're just like whatever. Like you don't need this shit. You're here, you're hanging out, you're playing whatever the fuck you like. You're doing whatever you want, right? You don't need this shit. You don't need to go out. You don't need to like go to the market for this shit, right? You're set up. Like you are. If you're not set up, you're kind of like getting your shit together, and you're kind of set up. That's kind of where we're all. I think most of us like here are kind of like on that level. Like we're all kind of good, and we just have like kind of fun popping our heads up and seeing what this fucking mess is like. But there is this drive to like correct it. There is this drive to like comment and to kind of like point out. You're like to kind of like expose it a little bit. And I think that drive, it's like whatever they want to call it and what it is, and they have a lot of fucking nasty names for it. We're doing it for the babies, man. We're just doing it for the babies. You know? It could be for our babies, or it could be for your babies, it could be for just the well, this was done to me as a baby, so I don't want to see it happen to another baby. Like that's what we're doing. Like we have that love and light, and we want to pass it forward. We want to pass it on to the next people, to the next ones, because the young people are going to be us eventually. Like they're going to hate us for this. They're going to be the old people, the next gen old people, eventually. So they're going to hate that too, and they don't have to hate it. You don't have to hate it, because you can connect it all the way back. This is how it goes. This is how the cycle goes. It's been going on forever. The oldest people on Earth are young people who think they know everything. Old people came later. Old people are newer. Do you understand? Do the math for a second. We'll let's breathe and do that math for a moment. Do you get it? Do you see it? Do you see it yet? We're arguing with people who are looking through the wrong end of the telescope on everything. Do you get that? They say that the best revenge is living well. And I believe it. So how do we live well in this modern landscape? With grace, class, aplomb, and effortlessness. How does one serve this vengeance with the greatest of ease? What is the art of vengeance? Just be good. Get maximum nutrition. And when you find out how to do that, share it with the people that you love. Be good to those around you. Max out their nutrition. If they need insight, share your insight. If they got insight to give, take that insight. That's it. It's fucking easy. You can spot the bullshit. If you can spot the people trying to hack you, don't let the bullshit get in the way. If you got some other bullshit that's going to leech off this nutrition, you're out of here, bro. Build community around it. We know what's good. This is what's good. Yeah, when you find people like that, just hold on to them, man. Just hold on to them. That's